Raymond and Ray is a brand new movie on Apple TV Plus starring Ewan McGregor and Ethan Hawke, and we got a chance to speak to its director, Rodrigo Garcia. Check it out.
It was your father's last wish that you dig his grave. What?
First of all, thank you so much for this movie. It moved me in unexpected ways.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And if you wouldn't mind me starting with something of an existential question, because it is what your movie had me suddenly worried about. And that is, how well do we actually know the people we know, and how our experiences with them are shaped purely by the version that we know?
I mean, that's the mystery, because I think, everyone, my dad used to say that everyone had a public life, a private life, and a secret life. So, and even beyond the secret life, we behave differently with everyone. So there's, I feel like I know my daughters very well, of course, because I've been observing them since they were born, but I haven't been observing them since they are adults. I don't observe them every day in their interactions with friends, workers, to answer your question, yes, that is a mystery that will always be ongoing. It's, we know the version that we are presented, plus that version goes through our own filter, what we want that person to be. So those versions are infinite.
And after watching your movie, I think I had this conversation with my wife, and
I'm glad she's still talking to you.
I know, right? And it's interesting because I think it's about reconciling the fact that we might not end up knowing everything there is to know about each other, and that's okay.
That I would say it's probably better.
Now, while Raymond and Ray is strictly not a road movie, I kept getting whiffs of Sideways for some reason, and I was wondering if the Alexander Payne movie was an inspiration in any way for you.
I like those movies very much, his movies generally, and yes, I mean, there's some inspiration from Sideways and Nebraska.
Oh yes, of course.
And yeah, so yeah, I mean, and they're both, in both, especially Sideways is a pretty limited road movie, meaning they go from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara and then they sort of run around, drive around wine country. But what I like particularly about those movies more than the road movie is the fact that they talk about men and about masculinity and midlife crisis and achievement in terms that are not about Wall Street or invading a country or robbing a bank. They are purely interpersonal and, the crisis of the person with themselves. So yes, in that sense, it's definitely an influence.
So there were two elements of your film that I absolutely loved as well. And let me talk to you about the first one, Jeff Beal. Like, the music is so understated, and yet it feels like a third main character. Can you talk to me about how you decided on that bluesy score?
Well, originally I thought of Jeff because he, in his life, I mean, he still does it, but, his life previous to scoring films, he was a jazz player and he's a trumpet player. So I wanted someone who would, compose the piece that Ray plays, both pieces that Ray plays, but particularly the one in the cemetery. And I have to say that my initial idea was that we would only leave the jazz to Ray, and that we would do a score with a different kind of flavor, maybe an Americana flavor. But, little by little, as we worked, and Jeff was very generous about giving us, little themes and sketches throughout our editing process. He didn't wait for the film to be edited. We did what seemed, of course, like the natural transition into a jazz score. And we did end up using it, cautiously. I didn't want the film to be, so painted by jazz and then the character's own jazz life. But I think he did a beautiful job of doing these. I don't want to call them sketches anymore because they're very worked out, but it's got a very light touch, and a bigger touch when it needs to. I think the piece when, the brothers do their antics at the cemetery was a beautiful piece. And yeah, many people I've talked to about the film have mentioned it, so I'm very happy with it.
Oh, fantastic! No, it is such a beautiful score, and it works so well within the context, especially that cemetery bit. The other bit is, of course, what David Crank has done. And this one moment that spoke to me was when they go back to the father's room for the first time, because I think so much of who we are the things that we have and we leave behind, the clutter that we leave behind, right? And I thought,
especially the stuff you haven't thrown out along the way.
yes, and that room was stunning. Like, it told me so much about their father without you telling me about their father.
Yeah, I mean, that that was kind of the idea, that he had what made what Ray calls his little altar to himself, which of course is
Yes.
is of course full of Ray's humor and perhaps a little cruel. It's an altar to himself, or they're the memories of your life. I wanted to set the story in the South, and in the end, we went with Richmond for different reasons, but I then set it in Richmond, and I think David Crank did a great job. I mean, it's not a movie full of locations, but it is, the ones that are there, I think, speak very much about who the characters are and what the world is. Even his job in the cemetery, of course, it looks like we're just there, but no, we're in an area of a cemetery that he has created. We're in an island that he has created. So our own cemetery is built by him, and Lucia's house, I think, also was a total achievement. And I think Elizabeth Keenan, who was the set decorator, did a very good job with a lot of the detail there.
I've got a minute left, but I need to talk to you about Ewan McGregor and Ethan Hawke. There is such an immediate comfort and authenticity in their performance, and I was wondering, as a director, did you have to work hard to get that, or was that already there?
Well, you can't work hard on the chemistry, because you either have it or you don't have it. And it's funny, sometimes even actors who don't like each other have it, even in love stories. Right. So, I went to Ewan first because I had worked with him before. And when I finished the script, I thought of him for Raymond. And among the people we spoke about, immediately Ethan's name came up, and both of them and I, the three of us always had this hunch that their chemistry would be high and that they would be very believable as half brothers. But of course, you have to get lucky, and they hit it off right away, and they rib each other, and they just had all that stuff that's not. I didn't create it, and it's not in the script. The script is about the actions and the words, but how they react to each other and look at each other, and how they comment on each other. The stuff between the lines is all stuff that they did, and yeah, that's performance, and that's luck, plus they're great choices. And I think from what I hear, it's one of the strongest things in the movie is just the chemistry between them.
It is absolutely, but do not do your words a disservice. They were absolutely brilliant as well. I loved Ray's little asides, like even just that very first line when he goes by his own hand, and it just had me burst out laughing. So thank you so much for that.
And a couple of those lines are ad-libbed by not that one in particular, but he has, he's got the little, he has the ongoing commentary. Ray and Ethan improv'd a couple of lines there that were very funny.
I swear to God, Rodrigo, when I die, I intend to make my child's lives as difficult. I think I may get them to do crazy things as well.
Well,
due to your movie. Yes.
I think the mystery for Raymond and Ray, and it might be for others, is that you don't know if the asking them to dig the grave is a punishment or a reward. And in fact, a friend who worked on the movie said to me, "I'm going to have my kids dig my grave, but not as a punishment, just as a gesture of love between us."
Rodrigo, it's a brilliant movie. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
But it's going to take a whole lot more than a hole in the ground to get the old man out of your head.
That was director Rodrigo Garcia. His movie, Raymond and Ray, with Ethan Hawke and Ewan McGregor, drops on Friday, October 21st. Let us know what you think once you've seen it. Sound off in the comments below. Don't forget to check out our other interviews right here on YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your family. You know what to do.